Bonjour les enfants, bienvenue dans la classe de français de Madame Sarah. Aujourd'hui, nous allons continuer à apprendre le français ensemble et j'espère que vous allez tous bien. Moi, je vais bien, mais j'espère que vous aussi, vous allez bien et nous allons commencer maintenant. Alors, bonjour Sophie, bonjour Mélissa, bonjour Adrienne, bonjour Rebecca, bonjour Jennifer, bonjour David, bonjour Kathleen qui est nouvelle, bonjour Annalisa. Moi, je m'appelle Madame Sarah, vous me connaissez tous bien, excepté pour Kathleen. Dans ma classe, nous allons parler en français, un petit peu en anglais et beaucoup en français. Okay, I hope you understood what I said. I greeted each one of you. Kathleen, you are new, so I was just saying that you did not know me, and I am Madame Sarah. Madame means Miss Sarah, okay? And I was just saying that in our class, we try to speak the mostly in French, a little bit in English, but mostly in French. Okay. So for the first class, we're gonna have to speak a little bit more in English just because I'm gonna explain to you why we are learning French as another language. So first, let's define what is a language. Because in everything we do, why do we learn French? Why do we do what we do, right? So what is a language? A languages are for human, right? It's human speech. The expression of ideas by words or significant articulate sounds, right? So when there's sounds coming out and words coming out for the communication of our thoughts. So we think things in our head and then we communicate it through our language, right? Through words and sounds, and that's what language means. So when I was a little girl, my first language was French because I grew up in a French-speaking country, right? I grew up in France. And so some of you was Spanish, some of you was English. But why do we learn to speak French? There's a few reasons. Now, French used to be the world's language of diplomacy. Diplomacy is just how nations communicate with each other. So in the political world, you know, how the leaders of one country talk to the leaders of another country. The official language was French. Now it's English. But for a long time, it was French for many centuries, for several centuries. Now, there's also something else. Because of that, because of certain things that have happened in the history of the French language and the English language between France and Britain, 60% of the English words are French. So French is going to help you so much to understand English even better. And also French is a Latin language. The root of French is Latin. And so the root of Spanish is also Latin. So that means that there's a lot of similarities. There's a lot of things that are the same. The words look the same. They're pronounced differently because the accent is different between Spanish and French, but they look very much alike if you see them written. So that's going to help you. If you speak Spanish, it's definitely going to help you to understand French even better. Learning French also is important because there's a lot of French people that have written important and instrumental books that our founding fathers here in the United States have read and that have influenced our founding fathers. So there's a lot of of important books that I hope one day maybe you'll be able to dig in and learn from, and at least you will know these French people. Two of them that we'll talk more about is Montesquieu and D'Aubagne. Can you say those names? Montesquieu and D'Aubagne. So you'll learn more about it, especially in high school when you go in Mr. Plumley's class. But there's a lot of books, very important books that we can learn from that were French books. So when we learn French, we also are able to understand God's providence in French and American history, because France and America have a long history together. And so we're able to understand more the history of both France and the United States by learning French. Learning French and the French culture and the French history help us with that. And also, do you know how the name of our school is CLIP? K-L-I-P, right? K is for to know God. L is for to love God. I is for to imitate God, to do like God, to do what God does. And then P is for to propagate the gospel, which means to bring the gospel to other people, right? For the gospel to go in more and more places. And so when you're able to communicate in French, you never know where God is going to take you. And maybe God will take you to a place where there will be French-speaking people and you'll be able to communicate somewhat with them. Even if you can't say full sentences, you will be able to pick up on what they're saying and you'll be able to say a few things. It's going to be wonderful to be able to communicate in that language. And maybe God will use you to plant seeds in the lives of these people and to bring the gospel to them. And then maybe they'll be able to be saved at one point. So don't underestimate God's providence in bringing French to you. Let me give you a quick example. When I was a young girl in school, when I was a teenager, in France, you have to choose 2 different languages beside your language to learn in school. So I had to learn, one of them had to be English, then the other one I could choose between Spanish or German. And so I chose Spanish. Well, when I chose Spanish, I didn't know that one day I was gonna live here in California and that I was gonna be able to practice my Spanish every day with the families of our school. I had no idea this was gonna happen. Isn't that wonderful that God had already prepared me and put a love in my heart for languages at that time, because He knew that I was going to need my Spanish. He knew that I was going to need English as well because I was going to marry an American. But at that time, I didn't know. So you have to realize God's providence in your life. And right now, you might think, why do I need to learn French? There's more people speaking Spanish around here. If you don't know Spanish, maybe you think, oh, I should learn Spanish. Well, there's a reason why you're learning French. Miss Sarah is French, and we started the school, so automatically we're going to learn French. That's what God has put on our hearts. But of course, there might be another reason, and that might be because you will need French one day. So you just need to trust God with that. All right, now that I've explained to you why we are learning French, let's dive into our lesson. So, I am going to send you a little video. Since we talked about French-speaking countries, I'm going to send you a little video on WhatsApp. And on that video, this lady talks about the different French-speaking countries in the world. So you can see where in the world do they speak French, right? And so you can be aware that there are many, many places in the world where you can actually use your French. All right, so I'll send that video in and I want you to watch it. And I want you to record what countries. Okay, so on a piece of paper, just write down the countries. All right. So, Miss Sarah sent you this page as well, which is our first lesson. And this is going to be review because learning French long distance is going to be a little bit more difficult than in the classroom. So I thought, well, let's just review because we haven't had French for a few months over the summer. And I thought, it'd be good to just go ahead and review while we're doing videos until we can get back together and then we'll move on. But let's review a few words. So we're going to go over the very top. There is a song called Frère Jacques, and that's a French song. And we're just not going to, if you want to Google it, Frère Jacques, if your parents are okay with that, you can look for it, but we're just not going to worry about that song right now. We're going to talk about the vocabulary. And there's 11 words that most of you know already, but maybe Kathleen doesn't know them. So let's go over them together. I'm going to say them and I want you to repeat them right after me, okay? Try to watch my mouth so you can see how I pronounce it. Bonjour. Bonjour, which means hello, good morning. Salut. Salut. So salut is like it's like saying hi, and you usually say that with your friends. Salut. The third one, go ahead and cross that one out because I put it in parentheses because we don't really say bon matin. That was in the old French. We don't really say that anymore. All right, number 4. Bon après-midi. Bon après-midi. Bon après-midi. Bon après-midi, which means good afternoon. Number 5. Bonsoir. 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 Now your R comes from your throat, remember? Bonsoir. You don't roll your R, your tongue. There's no rolling of the tongue. The tongue stays put. Bonsoir. Bonsoir. It's from your throat. Okay? Next one. Bonne nuit. Bonne nuit. Good night. Au revoir. Au revoir. Goodbye. Au revoir. À tout à l'heure. À tout à l'heure. See you later. Then you have monsieur for sir. Monsieur. Then you have madame. Je suis Madame Sarah. Madame. And then mademoiselle for miss. So if you're not married and you're young, we would say miss, mademoiselle, right? But if you're married, or you're older, we would say madame. All right. So these are words, okay? And so I want you to listen to this video over and over again and repeat them. Repeat them every day this week. So I would like for you to look at your French video. I'm going to send one French video a week. And I would like for you to look at it every single day and repeat the words every single day. That's all I want you to do, okay? Well, that's not all, but that's definitely the one thing I want you to do is repeat the words. Just repeat them. If you repeat them every day, they're gonna start getting in your mind and you remember them, okay? So you're building your vocabulary. You need to know vocabulary words so you can make sentences. All right. Now, let's talk about grammar a little bit. So right here, you see our subject pronouns, which means in a sentence, when you say I, when you say you, when you say he or she, when you say we, or when you say you or you all, and when you say they, those are the subject pronouns. So we need to know how to say them in French. A lot of you have a hard time pronouncing je. You say j'ai. It's not j'ai, it's je. Because the E says e. Remember the vowels? A, E, I, O, U, right? A, I, O, U. So those are the five vowels. A, E, I, O, U, right? So the E says E. So you need to make sure you pronounce it like this. Je, which means I. Okay, then you have tu, U, right? The U is U. Tu. Then il for he, elle for she. Il for he, elle for she. So it's je, tu, il, elle. Je, tu, il, elle. Je, tu, il, elle. Then over here is nous. Nous for we. Nous. And it includes me, right? If I say we, that means a bunch of people and myself. We, right? Nous. Nous. And then you have vous. Vous is you, as in you all. This group, you all. Vous. Vous. But it also is the polite form, because in French, just like in Spanish, when you talk politely to somebody you don't know or somebody you just met, you would not say tu, which means you. You would say vous, which means you, but as in a polite manner, right? So you would say vous. But it also means you all, as in if you're talking to a group of people, you're saying vous, you all. Okay, so there's two things. You can write it right beside it. You can put polite manner, and you can write right below, you can write you all, right? As in a group. And then you have il, elle with an S. You see how there's an S at the end of the pronouns? That's because it means they. Like they, il with an S would be they, the boys, right? The boys, all the boys, they. Then elle with an S, all the girls, they. But if you had boys and girls put together, you would use il. I-L-S. Il. Okay? So let's say them together. Je, tu, il, elle, nous, vous, il, elle. Notice we don't pronounce the S at the end. And Kathleen, you will learn that there are many consonants at the end of words that in French you don't pronounce. S is one of them. Okay, so let's say it together. Je, tu, il, elle, nous, vous, il, elle. Je, tu, il, elle, nous, vous, il, elle. All right. Now I'm going to say it and I'm going to give it a little bit of space for you to repeat. Je, tu, il, elle, nous, vous, il, elle. Good. Excellent. All right, let's look at our little dialogue. Let's see if you can understand it. Bonjour, madame. Bonjour, mademoiselle. Salut, Sophie. Bonsoir, monsieur. Au revoir, madame. À tout à l'heure. Bonne nuit, monsieur. All right. So, what I would like for you to do with your pencil is write beside it, according to your vocabulary words, write what it means. Right beside it, write what it means. Okay? All right? So that will be your first French lesson for this week. And then behind, you have two exercises, right? So I just want you to do the first one. I just want you to do it by yourself. Do the translate the sentences. Try not to look at this page in order to do these. I would like for you to learn your vocabulary by heart, to know what they mean, in order to be able to do this without looking. So in this school, remember, it's all about self-government. You guys have to be self-governed. You promise to work hard, to do your best, to be diligent, to not cheat, to not lie, right? And to govern your actions, to make sure you do what is right. And also, you have to remember that it is your education and you have to take care of working hard and learning. This is your duty and your responsibility while you are in school. So we trust you to do your work without cheating, because that's the only way that you will learn and that it will be beneficial for you. Okay, so remember, do this. Try not to look at this page. See how much you can do, okay? And if you have a hard time, you can definitely look. But try as much as you can to do it without looking, okay? And then this part right here, I will do an extra little video that will talk about this, okay? And I will send it to you on Friday. All right, sounds good? So this is your first class of French, and nous vous verrons bientôt dans une autre vidéo. Au revoir.